Hi guys, welcome to another video. Not really a tactics one this time. Basically, I hear a lot of complaints about different types of units and that kind of thing in 40k, and I'm a strong proponent of the mantra that basically there are no bad units in 40k. It's just people might not be able to figure out how to use things effectively. Okay, there are some very slight exceptions to that, where there are units that really don't serve any purpose, but the only one that springs to mind is Celestians in the Sisters of Battle Codex, and even they have a very slight use in certain situations, but we're getting off topic here. So basically I've just put a model on the table just to look at. Has nothing to do with the video. This is my Captain Brutus of the 2nd Company of Praetorian Marines. He still needs a banner, but you know, I'm making that for now. So basically, what are my underrated units, or what are the most underrated units in 40k in my opinion? Well, in no particular order, I'm going to go with Difficult Assassins. As part of a battle conclave for Sisters of Battle, or in the Grey Knights Codex, or in the Inquisition Codex, Difficult Assassins are only 15 points each. They come with 5 invulnerable save, they're strength 4, weapon skill 6, initiative 6, and have 2 attacks each, plus an extra 1 for 2 close combat weapons. And those close combat weapons are power swords. Now, it used to be in the old Sisters of Battle Codex and in the Grey Knight Codex that they could take power weapons, but that has now been FAQ'd or changed in both the Inquisition one and the Sisters of Battle one currently. So as it is, I believe only the Grey Knight ones can still take power weapons, which means they get a choice of all the different types of power weapons. Now, I used to run them with power mauls and power swords, and they could basically take on anything in the game apart from high armor targets that are 14 all round or that kind of thing. So long as it was at least armor 12 on the back, they could kill it. Or, you know, that kind of thing. Monstrous creatures, yep. Concussive on all their blows, blah blah blah. Terminators, yep. Just so many attacks, you know. Hitting first all the time, hitting on freeze. There's loads of ways to get rerolls, extra attacks, that kind of thing. Very, very good. Very, very powerful. If you're running them with Grey Knights or Inquisition, then you know you can put them in an assault transport and suddenly they're even more dangerous. If they charge anything that has an armor value of 3 or lower, or should say higher, 4, you know, 4 up, 3 up, anything like that, then they're going to wipe it. If it's a smallish squad of 2-ups, then they probably will still wipe it with the right kind of support. So for what you're getting for 150 points for 10, you can sometimes add more. You're basically getting a hell of a close combat unit, probably the most devastating one I know of. So yeah, pretty good. Another one in a similar vein is Penitent Engines. Penitent Engines for Sisters of Battle. They're basically walkers that are open topped. They're only armor 11 on the front and sides. They're armor 10 on the back. And that's pretty much it. They don't have anything else particularly special. Only they have the Rage rule. They have 2 Dreadnought close combat weapons. They do a hell of a lot of attacks. And they're all strength 10, AP 2, and they all have 2 heavy flamers each. Now you can take them in squadrons, which is pretty good. They got cheaper, although slightly less effective these days. They are the very definition of a glass cannon unit, but amazingly effective if you can use them right. They will tear through anything. The flamers alone are worth taking them for, because you're getting 6 heavy flamers on vehicle units, you know. Pretty damn good. I will have a video on those later. They're one of my favourite units. I pretty much take them in any Sisters of Battle list now. Very, very effective. Okay, another thing is the Rhino. The humble Rhino transport. Rhinos are very cheap. They can be upgraded in several ways, although really you only want to give them maneuverability ones like the Dozer Blade. They come with a fire point, and they can transport 10 people, so they're pretty damn good. Now, Sisters of Battle Rhinos are slightly more expensive, but they get a 6-up invulnerable save. The good thing about Rhinos is even if they lose their gun, then you lose a Stormbolter, big deal, but you get a free Stormbolter. If you get immobilised, they get a chance to repair themselves. They can carry 10 people, they can work as a special armour, they're immune to bolter rounds except for in the back. 35 points for the level of mobility. They give you 18 inches potentially a turn. You can also use their smoke launchers, and they come with a searchlight. So lots and lots of benefits for what they are. They're a very, very versatile unit. The amount that they add to a unit that needs to move around is worth far more than 35 points. So very, very good. And of course they don't take up a slot, so bonuses all around really. They've fallen out of favour with a lot of people in terms of other transports, so they'll pick Razorbacks, Immolators, drop pods, that kind of thing. But the Rhinos are still very, very effective. They may seem weak at times, but if you have enough other things on the table, they're not a problem at all to keep alive. So, on top of that, different type of vehicle completely. Something I don't really talk about is Tau and the Piranha. Now, Piranha is basically like a Rhino on the front, only it's also a fast skimmer, so it gets a cover save. You can take them in squadrons. They have strength 5 guns, 3 drones, in that they get them for free, which can also shoot independently or split into their own squad. They can take melter guns that are 18-inch range. They can deep strike, and all this for 40 points. You can take them in a squadron of 5. Basically, they are incredibly scary, and I think they are probably the most effective thing in the Tau Codex. I would be much more scared of facing Piranha spam than ever facing a Riptide spam list or anything like that, ever. Basically, you can take so many for so cheap, and no one can deal with that many armor 11s, especially when they're getting cover saves. So, very scary units. So, pretty good. Now, keeping on the Tau thing, another thing which goes with that, Vespid. Now, a lot of people have probably just turned off the video right now. They're like, Vespid, what are you on about? They're rubbish. They're not, actually. Vespid are basically designed for deep striking. They are the kind of guys you want to kill Devastators, Long Fangs, that kind of thing, who are sitting on the back, destroying your vehicles at long range. They're basically designed to cripple the enemy's range, so the rest of your army can keep at the max range and keep shooting. They're designed to take out gun lines. Now, where this can actually work best is in an aggressive style list like I've just mentioned, using Piranhas. So, if you do that, then you have the benefit that nobody expects Tau to play aggressively like that. Who expects Tau to go forward with Piranhas and Vespid, okay? Secondly, the units that are at the back, sitting at the back, shooting at long range, get much more protection than any other thing would give them, because the long range weaponry is getting killed by Vespid. The next thing is you can combine it with things like locator beacons and that kind of thing. They get stealth in ruins. They're pretty good at killing these kind of things, or just general harassment afterwards as well. So very useful for their points if you know how to apply them. So after that, going on to a completely different Xenos race, Eldar. And most underrated thing in the Eldar list that I know of is the Vol's Wrath artillery battery. Anyone who plays a Thunderfire cannon will know how good that is. Now imagine the same thing, but cheaper. Strength 7 with rending. Free blasts, same exact thing. Much more bodies on there that are all toughness 7. Very, very effective. You can also change it so they're like las cannons, or you can change it so they're all strength 10, AP 2, instant death on a 6, basically distort weaponry. Very, very nice. Very nice and very cheap. Probably the best heavy support slot choice for the Eldar, in my opinion, and I use them as much as possible because they're very good. On a similar theme, artillery, for the orcs, this is something you never really see but very effective, is big guns. Now what these are is the same exact thing. For 20 points you get a cannon which is basically a crack missile for each one with Gretchen. Now you can fill them up and get a big squad, all of toughness 7 Gretchen, okay, hiding somewhere, which could potentially be scoring because they're heavy support. You can shove them on a Sky Shield landing pad so they get a 4-up invulnerable save as well. Very hard to see, and of course they can shoot out and all that. Very, very cheap. Very cheap. Very effective. Much higher ballistic skill than other orcs. Pretty nasty, to be honest. So yeah, pretty good options there. Now getting away from the aliens a bit, because you know, who wants to talk about Xenos? Back to the humans and Imperial Guard. One of the things I love about Imperial Guard is the Rough Rider units. Now again, people don't use Imperial Guard aggressively that often, or when they do they keep it shooting, but there's enough options in there to be effective in any kind of role. Rough Riders basically do this for you. They are an extreme glass cannon unit, but if you use them right, and you use enough of them in the right places, then they're going to cause a lot of damage and they're going to wreak havoc. They're very manoeuvrable, so you can use them effectively for tricking your opponent, moving them where you want them to move, that kind of thing. They can select the units they charge very, very easily. They put out a hell of a lot of damage, so yeah, pretty good all around. My voice is starting to go, so I'm going to wrap this up. Luckily there's only one unit left to talk about, and that's Ogryns. Ogryns are expensive, but they can also be very effective. Now if you were to load out on Ogryns and support them with Rough Riders and that kind of thing, then you have a very, very solid mass of troops moving forward. You can easily buff their effects, making them fearless or stubborn and all that kind of thing. They have a lot of high strength shooting and a lot of high strength attacks to back that up. They will rip through most things. They're also very hard to kill in the right situations. So, you know, basically a very, very solid base that a lot of people who would play against Imperial Guard would not expect. And basically they're going to be up against these kind of things, trying to use the, well, they'll go against Imperial Guard expecting certain things and struggle because they've got a massive Ogryn walking in their face, and if they don't deal with them, then they're going to get slaughtered. If they do deal with them, then they're less effective at shooting them, and the rest of your units can wreak havoc as usual. So that's why I think all these are basically very underrated units. I know I've said a lot of unpopular choices, but as I say, there's always a use for every unit in 40k, and it's a case of identifying what that use is and how best to apply it for the rest of your army. There's many, many things you can build. You just have to basically look at what your options are. Just because you play Tower doesn't mean you have to be a static gun line. Just because you play Imperial Guard doesn't mean you have to be very defensive. You know, so there you go. If you agree with any of these, or you know, very aggressively disagree, then feel free to leave a comment or send me a message, that kind of thing. Also, let me know what kind of things you think are underrated, because there's many units, as I know. I don't know that many. Rather, I don't know every unit in 40k, or how best to apply it. I haven't got the time in the world to look at all that. So I'm sure there's plenty of other ways people have thought to use underrated units. So let me know, you know. Share it with the world. So thanks for watching. I'll be back with more videos soon, and see you later.